Welcome back to the O Hockey Show, and the final, at least anything noteworthy trade of the NHL trade deadline has happened right before the last second of the ending of it is finally over by now. It's actually been over for quite a while now, and John Klingberg has been traded to the Minnesota Wild. The offensive defenseman himself, most likely signing with Anaheim originally as they were going to offer him the most money, kind of the same deal with Taylor Hall a couple years ago when he signed at Buffalo, is he signs on for money and wants to eventually get traded to a cup contender later, and it works for both the team he signed for as they're hopefully bringing in something useful. However, it does not work out very well for the Anaheim Ducks as Klingberg only got 24 points this year and 8 goals, which is definitely not anything to just bat an eye at. But I don't even, that's not the right phrase, but whatever. And nothing that special that's going to bring in a ton of anything really. But in return, they do trade him to the Wild, and they give them a 4th-round pick in 2025. So nothing 2 years from now. Who even knows what you could get by then? And Nikita Nesterenko, the signing rights to Nikita Nesterenko, who you would not guess by his name, but he is American. He's from Brooklyn, and he is currently playing on Boston College this year. He's second on Boston in points behind Cutter Gauthier, who is actually a Flyers draft pick. I think he was drafted last year, and Nesterenko is actually 60th in the NCAA. Division 1. So, not a bad pickup, I don't think, by any means. And especially by the time he's going to be good, the Anaheim Ducks are going to finally start growing. Maybe this offseason or when this college season ends, sign to his entry level next year. Play on the preseason with the Ducks, play in the AHL. Next year, he jumps up. Maybe he's ready for like a third line role, maybe a power play position. And then I'm just projecting this guy's career. And so I think going both ways, this is a solid trade. I think the Ducks should have gotten, let's go backwards a year ago and the Stars were trading him away. I definitely think they could have gotten a lot more for him back in those days when he's getting 47 points, all those good shots from the blue line John Klingberg can do. But on the Anaheim Ducks, he's just not going to produce that much, especially in assists. There's not a lot of guys on the Ducks that are going to be scoring, and for himself, it's going to be hard for him to put himself into a good position as a defenseman, especially, to score goals. But 8 goals on the Ducks is definitely not that bad at all. And the Minnesota Wild, they bring in another another solid defensive piece that can actually generate offense. On that first line, of course, in Minnesota, I mean, Minnesota's defense is pretty solid overall with Jared Spurgeon, Middleton, I like. Kalen Addison back there, I really like him, that rookie. So they add him onto this piece, and I think they would either be going to 7 defensemen, which I think they did last year in the playoffs, or they might be benching Matt Dumba because he's kind of supposed to... I think they were trying to move him out, but I don't think any teams bit on him. So I'm guessing he's going to take over his role regardless, and if they roll 7 defensemen, Dumba would be pushed back to the number 7 spot. But however they're going to format that, I think it's an amazing pickup for the Minnesota Wild. I think last year one of their big problems was that they weren't really generating anything from the back end. Now they have Addison, now they have Klingberg, and now they have that playoff kind of chip on their shoulder that from last year, and I think they're going to go in a little bit more passionate, a little bit more hungry to win, and John Klingberg, I think, is going to shine in the playoffs with the Minnesota Wild, and especially on the power play. I think that was another thing, too, is I'm not entirely sure, but I'm in the back of my head, I'm kind of remembering that the Wild and against the Blues, their power play was awful, I'm thinking, and I think now, especially on the power play, how important special teams are in the playoffs with Kaprizov up front. I mean, I think with him now, they finally have a solid quarterback on the power play. So with Kaprizov and I mean that whole line out there, you know, I think they're gonna have a dangerous power play now. I think Klingberg's a pretty solid pick for that. So both ways, I think it's a good trade. And I think the Ducks probably would have wished they could have gotten more out of it when they've originally signed him. But I think Nikita Nesterenko is going to be a pretty solid prospect at the end of the day. And I think in a couple years when the Ducks are starting to get good and Zegras is at the top of the league in scoring and he's going to be popping up and is going to be a good second-line player eventually. So that is all I have to say about this. I would assume the last cut to make it in the trade deadline. I know James Van Riemsdyk was almost traded, but then it didn't go through. So I think this is going to be the last one that comes out, and we know about that. Klingberg has been traded, and this at this very boring trade deadline day. So that is all I have to say. So thank you for watching this. Please pick up your free subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. We finally hit 100. We're now technically halfway to 200. So let's get there soon. Let's get there sooner than I got to 100. Please help me out there, and until next time, I hope you're having an amazing day. I hope your team turned out very well during this trade deadline, unlike the teams that I somewhat cheer for more than the others. And until next time, too sweet. I hope we're having an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.